From stories across the globe to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. A very good evening to you. I'm Sharifa Tahir.
Good evening, I'm Uvin Hetiarachi and here are today's headlines. President instructs officials to immediately release the containers containing essential items in the custody of customs. Central Bank launches a national remittance mobile application, Lanka Remit. Minister Dallas Alha-Perimus says no discussions were held over fuel price revisions at the yesterday's cabinet ministers meeting. A total of $327 million spent for the national vaccination program, State Minister Channa Jayasumana reveals for the first time. MP Dilan Pereira becomes the 50th parliamentarian to be infected with COVID-19. Public rally of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna will be held tomorrow in Anuradhapura.
We now move on to those and other stories in detail. Now, taking a look at local news first, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa instructed the officials to take steps to immediately release the containers containing essential items at the custody of customs. These instructions were issued during a special meeting held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. The President made this decision with the objective of maintaining a steady supply of essential commodities including food in the market without any shortages. The President also appointed a committee headed by Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa to ensure that there is no shortage of essential commodities including food. President Rajapaksa stressed that the people should be given the opportunity to purchase essential items, including food, without any shortage during the upcoming festive season and instructed the officials to make plans for this from now on. The President emphasized that selected essential goods should be allowed to be imported and that goods should not be allowed to be imported in excess and stocks to be kept hidden to increase prices. The President instructed the relevant officials to implement a new mechanism to expedite the release of essential commodities including food, to the market and directed the new committee to regulate and oversee this matter. Ministers Basil Rajapaksa, Pandula Gunawardena, Rohita Abe Gunawardena, Governor of the Central Bank Ajit Niwad Cabral, State Minister Asantha Alagiyavanna, Secretary to the President Kamini Senarath and Secretary to the Ministry of Finance S.R. Artigala were present at this meeting.
Meanwhile, Cabinet spokesman Minister Dallas Alha-Perimus says no discussion was conducted at the meeting of the Cabinet of Ministers yesterday over a potential fuel price revision by the government. The minister made these remarks while speaking at a media briefing held to announce the cabinet decisions today. The minister said that Petroleum Corporation has faced a greater issue following the fuel price increase of the Indian Oil Company. However, he said that no discussion was held over the issue when the Cabinet of Ministers convened yesterday. He pointed out a possibility prevails over a potential move in this regard. Responding to a query raised by a journalist over the hindrance related to the 100,000 task project with the present cement shortage, Minister Digitalisation said that the President has issued a directive to Minister Basil Rajapaksa, Central Bank Governor and the Department of Customs to take accelerated measures over the essential commodities during the meeting held yesterday. He further said that the initiatives have been implemented in the electrons without hindrance amid several delays. He pointed out that when the initiating construction project, the initial step would be to prepare the relevant estimates since the documentation process which would take the first quarter of the year. Therefore, he said the cement would not be required at the beginning of the project, hence would not affect the 100,000 task project. He also said that among the directives issued by the President, an instruction had been directed to release the containers which consist of the materials required for construction, including cement from the port.
ජනාධිපතිතුමා විසින් නිකුත් කරනු ලැබූ ඒ නියෝගයන් ඇතුලේ මේ වරායේ දැනට හිරවෙලා තියෙන කන්ටේනර් විශාල ප්‍රමාණයකුත් ඒ වගේම සිමෙන්ති වැනි ඉදිකිරීම් කර්මාන්තයට අදාළව අත්‍යවශ්‍ය භාණ්ඩ සිමෙන්ති ඇතුළු ගෙන්වීම සඳහා කිසියම් ආකාරයක සහනයක් ඒ ව්‍යාපාරික ප්‍රජාවට ලැබෙයි කියලා ඒ ලැබිය යුතුයි කියලා කියන එක තමයි අපේ යෝජනාව අපේ විශ්වාසය.
A journalist inquired whether the handling of the YouTube channel of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation has been handed over to a private establishment. The journalist further inquired whether the profit earned by the national television and the content would be impacted from this move. Minister Digitalisation said that a profit-sharing agreement had been reached with a certain institution some years back in this regard. Accordingly, the national television received 30% from the profits apart from administration costs. The minister said the decision has been reached to withdraw from the relevant agreement, adding that many misinterpretations have been shared over the move on various platforms. Core Cabinet spokesman Minister Ramesh Patirana said that the government is yet to take a decision, including the state institution, for the decision taken to impose 25% surcharge from companies which earn over 2 billion rupees annually. Minister Ramesh Patirana said that the taxation will be carried out as a one-time taxation. Therefore, he said the government is yet to identify issues pertaining to taxation. The strike action launched by several nurses' trade unions continued for the second day. Many patients faced great difficulties even today due to the ongoing strike action. 18 health sector trade unions, including nursing, supplementary and paramedical services, launched the strike action based on several demands, including salary anomalies. The strike action has been initiated across the country except for 9 main hospitals and 1 health institution. Many health services, including rapid antigen testing, have been severely disrupted due to the ongoing protest action. The patients who have been gravely affected have condemned the strike action. The president of the Government Medical Officers Forum, Dr. Rukshan Belana, said that tragic situation has occurred from the strike organized by the professionals in the paramedical services. President of the Government Medical Officers Forum, Dr. Rukshan Belana, criticized the entities who have enforced their own personal political ideologies on trade unions and use trade unions to pursue political objectives. The national television has inquired from the Health Ministry regarding the salary received by groups engaged in the strike action. It has been pointed out that despite curtailment of overtime payments to state employees, these workers are permitted to receive overtime payments exceeding 150 hours. Addressing a media briefing today, the Thera said, the Thera being in question, Venerable Murutetue Ananda Thera, have said no objection of the doctors receive any increment. However, increment should be proportionally divided among services. He said those who represent the nursing demands are demanding to provide same privileges to their services as well. The Thera emphasized those members in his association who have supported the ongoing strike action will be removed from the membership.
In the meantime, State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumana revealed in Parliament for the first time today that a total of $327 million have been spent for the overall vaccination program initiated in Sri Lanka. The State Minister said that the overall expenditure on Pfizer vaccines will be provided to Sri Lanka by the World Bank under several stages. State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumana said that parliamentarian party leader Champika Ranawaka claimed that AstraZeneca vaccine was brought at a rate of $16. However, he said that Sri Lanka purchased AstraZeneca vaccine at a rate of $5.25. He further said that the officer in charge of the vaccination program in Indonesia is a Sri Lankan physician, Dr. Pabba Paliyavadana. He said that she had informed that AstraZeneca vaccine had not been purchased by Indonesia but extended as a donation under the COVAX initiative. He said that no country in the world has purchased vaccines at a rate of $1.6. Therefore, the State Minister said that the opposition parliamentarian had shared misinformation in this regard. He further pointed out that the vaccination program became a success following the leadership and guidance of the President. Speaking on the acquisition of vaccinations and vaccines, the State Minister said that 26 million Sinopharm vaccines have been received by the country. He added that 3 million vaccines were provided as donations, while 23 million vaccines were purchased. He said the Sinopharm company agreed to provide vaccines at a rate of $15, excluding logistic charges. Accordingly, the State Minister said that the initial agreement was reached in this regard. However, considering the high costs associated with the importation of the vaccines, the State Minister said that the President requested the head of the company to reduce the rates in writing on June 29, 2021. Therefore, with the mediation of the President, the State Minister said that based on a special request on diplomatic level, the rates were revised to $7 per vaccine. The Sinopharm company imposed a special condition not to disclose the revised rate, as no country in the world had received the vaccine at such rates. Therefore, he said that the President's mediation had saved $152 million for the country. Accordingly, he said that the government spent $2.625 million for AstraZeneca vaccines, $193 million for Sinopharm vaccines, $3.284 million for Sputnik and Pfizer vaccine doses were purchased at a rate of $6.75 each. As a whole, the minister said that 18,999,630 Pfizer vaccine doses have been obtained thus far. The overall expenditure borne by the government for Pfizer vaccine stands at $128.248 million. State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumana added. The Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval to implement the proposed project to introduce a unitary digital identity framework extended under a grant from the Government of India in the country. The relevant proposal was presented by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. In the meantime, under the proposed unitary digital identity framework, it is expected to introduce a personal identity verification device based on biometric data, a digital tool that can present the identities of individuals in cyberspace. Also, the individual identities in the digital and physical environments can be accurately verified upon combining both devices. The Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval to entrust the contract of the construction of the organic fertilizer plant in Vellavela, Mahavali Division to the Central Engineering Consultancy Bureau. The relevant proposal was presented by Minister Chamal Rajapaksa. Also, Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal to direct instructions to the legal draftsman to prepare a bill consisting of provisions to set up an investment disputes tribunal with the judicial power. The relevant proposal was tabled by Minister Ali Sabri. The Cabinet Ministers approved the proposal to include Pirivan teachers and government-approved assisted special Pirivana or rather private school teachers for the public administration circular issued in line with the elimination of salary anomalies in teacher principal services. Minister Dinesh Gunawardena presented the relevant proposal. In the meantime, more on local stories. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has initiated a national remittance mobile application branded as Lanka Remit. The new mobile application was launched by Minister Namal Rajapaksa today. Governor of Central Bank Ajit Nivad Cabral was also present at the event held at the Central Bank premises. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka is currently taking steps to increase the inflows of foreign remittances to Sri Lanka, as well as to encourage the use of formal remittance channels when sending remittances to the country. The Lanka National Remittance mobile application provides Sri Lankans working abroad direct access to the existing remittance channels. The application also facilitates the ability to choose more convenient and cost-effective remittance channels to send money to Sri Lanka. Lanka Remit expects to offer a number of value-added services such as direct bill payment facility from overseas and to facilitate remittances to Sri Lanka using cards issued overseas. Country's leading banks and telecommunication providers are already in connection with Lanka Remit, while other remittance service providers are expected to join in the near future. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka is promoting Lanka Remit with the support of various stakeholders, including the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Foreign Relations, Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment and the Bankers Association of Sri Lanka.
So as a government, we have a very clear roadmap for digitalization, and we believe we need to work with the private sector and the public sector together to make it a success. So we believe we have to have a bigger transformation in the mindset of people when it comes to our digital roadmap, especially when it comes to the foreign remittance. We believe with the trust and faith that people have is very important, and simply make it more simple to use technology. So we believe introducing these kind of apps will allow them, and also connecting those with their day-to-day lifestyle, like utility bills, even with the Foreign Employment Bureau, and payments to the Consular Department, Passport Office, where they have to keep on travel up and down to do their payments. We'll definitely encourage them to get into not only this app, but also get into other technology as well.
When we did see some of our remittances being threatened and alternative methods being adopted, the central bank, together with the banking industry, which had felt this situation, and with the total commitment of the government, we were able to set up a new scheme which will address that situation. So I'm confident that as we go on, we will be able to make sure that we take the necessary steps as an industry to respond to this situation. So I think this particular app given an alternative to deal with this situation, and I believe there will be so many people who will benefit by that. Not only will the people who are involved in the transactions benefit, the country also would benefit. We have launched a large number of projects, and sometimes people think that the shortage of dollars is because of the fact that we have no dollars. But if we didn't have dollars, how did we import items for nearly $22 billion last year? So obviously there are dollars, but there is a massive demand for the dollars as well. From the point of view of the central bank, we also want to ensure that the financial platform as well as our business platform is effective and is at the international standards where anyone can benefit by that type of overall efficiency as well as effectiveness. So I would like to assure all stakeholders of the Sri Lankan economy that we would be persisting with our endeavors to ensure that we have a very good system, and at the same time that we would make it secure, we would make it safe, as well as we would make it fast for all transactions to take place. And the part of the transaction that this particular app would address today will be a major part of that overall drive.
The number of parliamentarians infected with COVID-19 has risen up to 50. MP Dilan Pereira became the 50th parliamentarian to be infected with the virus. Many parliamentarians were infected with COVID-19 with the spread of the disease in the country. Sergeant-at-Arms of Parliament Narendra Fernando said that 17 parliamentarians have been infected with COVID-19 following the commencement of the second session of Parliament on January 18th. In the meantime, 24 officers attached to the Security Division and parliamentary staff have also been infected with the virus. The number of tourist arrivals in the country has increased thus far due to the success of the COVID eradication program in Sri Lanka. Accordingly, the number of arrivals has exceeded 100,000 mark. Tourism Development Authority mentioned that 104,739 tourists have arrived in the country by yesterday. Meanwhile, tourist hotels, service providing agencies, tourist guides and drivers registered under the Tourist and Development Authority have been exempted from registration levy for the year 2022. Minister Prasanna Rantunga said that steps have been taken to extend the program initiated to provide relief for those who are engaged in tourism industry in the face of COVID-19 pandemic by another year. The program to inoculate booster vaccines for those who are above the age of 20 years is successfully underway across the country. A vaccination program to provide booster vaccines was held at Vietnam premises in Colombo this morning. Accordingly, a total of 59,202 persons have received the booster vaccine yesterday. Director General of Health Services confirmed 35 COVID-19 related deaths which occurred yesterday. Meanwhile, 1,253 COVID-19 infected persons were detected in the country today.
And now let's have a global update on the pandemic situation. A World Health Organization survey has shown that disruptions in basic health services such as vaccination programs and treatment of diseases as AIDS were reported in 92% of 129 countries. Meanwhile, COVID-19 has infected more than 397 million people and killed over 5.7 million globally. The World Health Organization has said in a statement that the survey, which has been conducted during the months of November and December in the year 2021, has shown that services have been severely impacted with little or no improvement. The World Health Organization has said that the results of this survey highlight the importance of urgent action to address major health system challenges, recover services and mitigate the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Emergency care, which includes ambulance and ER services, has worsened with 36% of countries reporting disruptions. The survey's timing coincided with surging COVID-19 cases in many countries in late 2021 due to the highly transmissible Omicron variant, piling additional strain on hospitals.
The first public rally organized by Sri Lanka Podujana Peramana will be held at Salgadu Stadium in Anuradhapura tomorrow evening. The public rally has been titled as Rajaratata Podujana Rally. The public rally will be held under the patronage of the President and Prime Minister. The government, while successful battling the COVID-19 crisis situation, has initiated many development programs in the country. The objective of this public rally series is to create awareness over the initiatives taken by the government. Minister S.M. Chandrasena and State Minister Shehan Semasinghe engaged in observational tour at the Salgadu Stadium in Anuradhapura today to oversee preparations.
Financial provisions worth 1,280 million rupees are expected to be distributed among 40,000 farmers as compensation for damages incurred during 2020-2021 Maha season. Accordingly, the distribution of compensation has commenced in the Eastern Province today with the participation of Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage. The government has initiated a program to extend compensation without charging an insurance installment for the damages inflicted due to natural causes and wild elephant attacks on 6 crop varieties including paddy, maize, soya, green chilies, big onions and potatoes. Compensation will be paid for a maximum of 5 acres of paddy and 2.5 acres of other crop varieties. The farmers have been informed to notify such crop damages to Agrarian Development Centre of the Agrarian Development Department. Subsequently, the damages will be evaluated and the relevant compensations will be determined by a committee comprised of representatives of agrarian organizations and state offices. The distribution of compensation on crop damages was commenced today from Eastern Province rains and the compensation for the farmers is prioritized districts which have incurred the most crop damages in the country thus far have been deposited to the respective bank accounts.
Minister Chala Rajapaksa says that the responsibility of the state taxi sector employee is to fulfill the duties of the public to the maximum level as to claim the demands to part of the trade unions. The minister made these remarks while taking part in an event today to hand over appointment letters for a group of newly appointed additional secretaries. 75 secretaries received the appointment letters during the event. The newly appointed officials will be assigned to various administrative institutions in the country. Secretary to the State of Ministry, Home Affairs, NHM Chintrananda was present at the occasion.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa instructed the officials to take steps to immediately release the containers containing essential items in the custody of customs. These instructions were issued during a special meeting held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. The President made this decision with the objective of maintaining a steady supply of essential commodities, including food, in the market without any shortages. The President also appointed a committee headed by Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa to ensure that there is no shortage of essential commodities, including food. President Rajapaksa stressed that the people should be given the opportunity to purchase essential items, including food, without any shortage during the upcoming festive season and instructed the officials to make plans for this from now on. The President emphasized that selected essential goods should be allowed to be imported and that goods should not be allowed to be imported in excess and stocks to be kept hidden to increase prices. The President instructed the relevant officials to implement a new mechanism to expedite the release of essential commodities, including food, to the market and directed the new committee to regulate and oversee this matter. Ministers Basil Rajapaksa, Bandula Gunawardena, Rohitabe Gunawardena, Governor of the Central Bank Ajit Niwad Cabral, State Minister Lasanthala Giawana, Secretary to the President Gamini Senarath and Secretary to the Ministry of Finance S.R. Artigala were present at this meeting. Meanwhile, the President has instructed the Secretary to the Ministry of Education to look into whether there has been any undue influence from the candidates on appointment of principals for national schools. Accordingly, an inquiry will be conducted whether the Interview Board or the Education Service Committee or the Public Service Commission have been influenced during and after the interviews. Japan has donated vehicles and equipment that can be used to tackle illicit drugs and fight terrorism-related activities to Sri Lanka. The donation was the second phase of a grant from Japan and was symbolically handed over to the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa by Japanese Ambassador Mizukoshi Hideaki at the Presidential Secretariat this morning. The donated vehicles and equipment valued at 700 million rupees included 28 Land Cruisers, a Prado vehicle, a stock of equipment including a mobile scanner unit for detecting explosives and narcotics. Inspector General of Police C.D. Vikramaratne and Government Analyst Gauri Ramana received the vehicles and equipment. Minister Sarath Veerasekara, State Minister Dilum Amunugama and Secretary to the President Gamini Senarath were also present at the occasion.
A woman who was in possession of over 1 kilogram of heroin has been arrested by police special task force. The relevant raid was conducted last evening. The police special task force has said that the two suspects who were arrested in a house in the Hospital Road of Kalubowila was in the possession of 1.064 kilograms of heroin. This suspect has been identified as wife of Army Indika, who is an associate of the drug smuggler Baduite Asanka. The couple had been trafficking drugs within the country according to the special task force. The suspect has been handed over to Police Narcotics Bureau for further investigation.
The employees of the Coconut Development Authority have said that the services of the present chairman, who had achieved a massive progress within a short period of time, is essential for the authority. These remarks were shared during a media briefing held in Colombo today. The chairman of the Podujana Eksat Peramuna Trade Union, Y.K. Sijatilaka, said that the present chairman of the authority is a university graduate. He further said that the authority chairman is entitled for 250,000 rupees worth vehicle allowance, which he had rejected. In the meantime, the Women's Federation's meetings of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna are currently underway in electoral level across the country. The meetings are conducted in accordance with health guidelines. The Women's Federation meeting in Ratnapura electorate was held recently. Minister Pavitra Wanniarachi presided over the event. Several representatives of the Ratnapura Women's Federation were present at this occasion. The meeting was organized by Mayor Tiron Athanayaka. Women's Federation meeting of Panduasnuwara electorate was held yesterday. The event was organised by Panduasnuwara electorate organiser parliamentarian Gunapala Ratnasekara. Party activists and representatives of Women's Federation were present at this occasion. Teldeni electorate's Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Women's Federation meeting was held at the Pradesha Sabha auditorium. The meeting was held with the participation of parliamentarians Diana Gamage, Professor Ranjit Bandara and Jayantha Ketagoda.
That's it for tonight's English News Update. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Have a pleasant night.